everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be testing out the new Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Concealer. This concealer can be found in 12 different shades. I grabbed mine in the shade 3W to try it out today. It retails for $28 US, and you get 0.23 ounces worth of product. The details of this concealer are pretty simple and straightforward. It is a medium to full coverage concealer that is also long wearing and hydrating underneath the eyes. It is crease resistant and water resistant as well. You're supposed to be able to wear this for up to 12 hours, and you are able to build up the coverage with this concealer. I watched a quick tutorial on exactly how to use this straight from the website, and it seems really simple. They do encourage for you to use your fingers because the warmth of the fingers and the warmth of your skin is really going to help blend the product onto the skin. And then if you do need to blend it out even further, they do suggest that you do so with a sponge. They also suggest that you set it with a powder, specifically their Secret Brightening Powder, which I am not a huge fan of. I did have it at one point in time when I first started setting my concealers, and I found that it was just a little too brightening for my liking underneath the eyes, and it did give a little bit of flashback, so I didn't prefer it. But I am going to be setting it today with my usual, which is my RCMA No Color Loose powder. And I'm also going to be testing this concealer out the way that I normally would, which would be with a color corrector on one side and then no color corrector on the other, to see exactly what kind of coverage we're getting with a color corrector and without a color corrector. So now that I've covered the basics, I'm simply going to jump off camera really quickly in order to apply foundation onto the entire face and also to color correct the right under eye area before coming back and concealing. Okay, so now I am back with foundation on and color corrector, so it is time to conceal. So I watched the video, like I said, and it seems pretty easy. The applicator is flat on both sides. It's a doe foot applicator that is flat, so you get quite a bit of product as soon as you pull it out of the tube, which is nice that you don't have to keep, going back in. As far as how to apply it, it does state, I'm going to start off with the right side. You're supposed to dab some dots underneath the lower lash line, and then with the side of the doe foot applicator, you're supposed to be able to just apply some of the concealer like that. And then they suggest that you blend it out using your finger. Oh yeah, it blends out pretty nicely with your finger. And then if you need to blend it out a little bit more, which I think I do, just a tiny bit, go back with a sponge and do that. Okay, I like that. I like the amount of coverage that I got too. It's pretty nice. And it does look very subtle. It doesn't look heavy. It's not cakey. It doesn't feel heavy or cakey. It truly does feel weightless. So far so good. I'm not really sure if I'm going to add a little bit more here. I think I am though. Just gonna add a couple more dots here. This inner corner is always my problem area. So just gonna build up the concealer a little bit in there. And it did build up nicely. I like that. Okay, so now it is time to move on to the non-color corrected side. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing. Dots underneath the lower lash line. And then with the flat side, okay. Now blend it out with your finger. Okay, so initially, this one obviously is getting more coverage. The color corrector underneath is definitely helping, and I did build it up here. Overall on this side, without the color corrector underneath and without building it up, it's definitely medium coverage. So I am going to build it up a little bit to try to get more of a full coverage situation going on over here. Okay, so that I was able to build that up, no issues. I still feel like I'm getting better coverage with the color corrector underneath. Just a little bit better. So now it is time to set, which I am going to do today with my RCMA No Color Loose Powder. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that. In the video, he does it with a brush, but I'm just going to do it with my damp beauty blender. But this is a very, very thin layer of powder. I just shake off any of the excess and it leaves me with a nice thin layer. And I'm going to be setting it like that. All right, so I'm getting pretty similar coverage on both sides as of right now. Now I'm going to zoom y'all in so that you can get a better look at the under eye area after initial application. Okay, so here's the under eye area. I think I am getting better coverage with the color corrected side. I don't know if you guys can tell, but like you can still see the darkness through here and a little bit through here. Here, it's a little bit more hidden. So prefer it with a color corrector, or I get better coverage with a color corrector. However, both sides look really nice. They look hydrated. They don't look extremely dry or anything like that. And they're wearing really comfortably and light. So, all right, so now I'm simply going to jump off camera, finish off the rest of my makeup, and I will be right back. Okay, so now I am back with a full face of makeup, and the concealer, of course, still looks really good underneath the eyes. It is currently 10:41. I am planning on wearing this concealer for an entire 8-hour day, and I will be coming back halfway through the day per usual in order to show you all close-ups and to discuss a little bit of what has been happening throughout the day. So I will see you all back here in a few hours. Okay, so now I am back for my midday check-in. It is currently 3:02, so I've had this concealer on for a little over 4 hours. Now, before I get into my midday opinion of the concealer, I am just going to zoom you all in so that you can get a better look at the under eye area after 4 hours of wear. Okay, so this is what the concealer looks like underneath the eyes. As you can see, not much has changed. The only thing that I did notice is that it does look a little tiny bit dry there, and it's kind of separating in between my lines on this side. I don't know if you can see that, but if I look up, you can definitely see the separation there in between. The right side I don't believe has creased. I think it may be creased in between my lines here a little bit. It's settled there, but nothing too noticeable. So that is it for my midday check-in. I do plan on finishing off my day at around 7 o'clock in order to give this concealer a good solid 8 hours. So I will see you all back here at the end of the day. Okay, so now I am back for my final check-in. It is currently 7:13. So I've had this concealer on the entire day, a good 8 hours. Now, before I go into my overall opinion of the concealer, I'm going to zoom you all in so that you can get a better look underneath the eye area after a little over 8 hours of wear. Okay, so this is what the concealer looks like up close underneath my eye area. Pay no attention to this inner corner here. My eye was really super watery for whatever reason. I think the fall slash provoked it. And yeah, I couldn't get it to stop. So that is why that is completely worn off. Like, I don't know if y'all can see that or can really tell, but the product did break up just a tiny bit. But other than that, it wore well. It still feels really lightweight underneath the eye area. And had that not occurred, I feel like it would still look really good underneath. Not like when I first initially applied it good, but it would still look pretty good for an 8-hour day. On this side, however, not the same situation. I didn't get the amount of coverage that I did on this side like you all saw earlier. As for the way that it wore, I feel like it wore similar to this side, but not as well, I guess. This side just seemed to be broken up a little tiny bit more. I don't know if y'all can tell, like right there, in between my fine lines, the product just completely disappears. So that's what I mean when I say that the product broke up. It's just that it doesn't look as smooth as when I first applied it. And yeah. So in conclusion, I actually really like the concealer. I feel like it did a lot better than I thought that it would, especially because it claimed to hydrate. And usually when concealers claim to hydrate, they don't dry down and they tend to settle into my fine lines a lot. But this one I found was a little bit more drying than what I was expecting, and I almost prefer my concealers like that because I do have the fine lines underneath the eyes, and like I said, the concealers settle into the fine lines, especially when they claim to be hydrating. So I appreciated that. Once I set it, it looked really, really good, and for the majority of the day it looked good until I had my little incident with my watery eye. I'm absolutely going to keep using this concealer. However, I would recommend you to use it with a color corrector underneath if you have the dark circle intensity that I do, because a couple of layers of that didn't do the trick to give me full coverage. It did do the trick, however, with a color corrector. I feel like I did get more of a full coverage effect than I did without. So there is that. And yeah, overall, it's not a bad concealer. Not bad at all. So that is all that I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope that you enjoyed this video review and that you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on future product reviews, makeup tutorials, and beauty-related videos. And also don't forget to follow me on all my other social media platforms. I am All Beauty by Sarah with an H on Instagram and All Beauty by Sarah without the H on Snapchat and Twitter. Although I haven't been that active on Snapchat, I'm finding it really hard to get used to the new layout, and so I just don't find myself using it as much, but I'll try to get better at it. But if you really need to get a hold of me, Twitter is the way to go. If you're sending me a direct message on Instagram, I don't always get those notifications, and so if you have a question for me, tweet me. I'll get back to you as soon as I see it. So as always, take care, and I will see you all in my next video. Mwah! Bye.